This past weekend, I bowled in one of the largest amateur tournaments in the world, and here is a full recap of how it went, what you should expect for this tournament, and why I feel this is one of the weirdest tournaments in the United States. First of all, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody that came and said hi to me at this tournament. There were probably 30 to 40 viewers that came and we talked to. It was absolutely fantastic. Thank you everybody who reached out, everybody who came and said they loved the channel, or all the people that we ended up bowling with. We're going to have full streams of these that are going to get posted to YouTube at some point soon. So hopefully you guys look out for those in the near future. And then also, if you guys could, a subscription would help me out a ton. Also drop a like on this video if you like what we do on this channel. But let's get into what the TAT actually is. The True Amateur Tournament is a running tournament series throughout the year that happens in different parts across the country, but they have their main event in Vegas every single summer. This is their summer classic. It's about $25,000 for first place. However, there are hundreds, if not thousands of bowlers that come to bowl this event, and the main tournament structure is actually a 3-game qualifying block split up into 5 different kinds of squads. This is technically a handicap event. However, there is a scratch division and there is a senior division, but then a couple of handicap divisions. Something very good to note about this. So like I mentioned, it's 3-game qualifying blocks. So there are 4 qualifying blocks every day, Monday through Friday for an entire week. Sorry, Monday through Saturday for an entire week. And in those squads, there are 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. What they do is you have your 2 squads bowl. So say your morning 2 squads bowl, you put up your 3-game block, and then they actually take the top 1 in 8 bowlers into their next round, into their finals round that happens on a Sunday. This is a very, very low amount of bowlers that make it. This is the lowest cut number I've ever seen in bowling, where they only take 1 bowler out of every 8. Usually the number is about 1 in 3 bowlers make the next round, even 1 in 4 bowlers. However, 1 in 8 is absolutely bonkers in my opinion. This is apparently a norm for the Vegas area, so let me know if I'm wrong on that, but another tournament I bowled, it was 1 in 6. So what happens is you try to make it there. If you qualify, you end up making it to their final round, you automatically are making money back, and then you slowly work your way through your division, try to be the champion of your specific division, then you bowl in a giant step ladder against the other divisions. That's how you end up making that $25,000. Alongside this, there are a ton of other side events going on during this. There's a no-tap tournament. There's a team tournament. There is a really weird thing called the VIP squads. These are still odd to me, where with all of your entry fees, you get access to this quote-unquote VIP squad. This squad, you bowl 2 games, and then they take your top game, your highest scoring game out of those 2, put it onto a leaderboard, and then they pay out the top couple of spots in that. It is very, very difficult to make money in this because that is also handicapped, but there are no divisions. So usually what I was told is you need to shoot about 250 to be able to make some money back. And you are always bowling on the fresh on this VIP squad. The oil pattern for this event was 37 feet, 29 mils. We didn't know much about the pattern, so I'll have what I know about it on the screen right now, but it's very little was known. You didn't get a full sheet on it. We just knew it was short, it was flat, and it was a little bit of volume, but nothing crazy. So the VIP squad, you bowl on the fresh. However, every other qualifying squad that I mentioned, you bowl on the burn. And this makes the tournament an entirely different ball game. Usually in a tournament, you start on the fresh and then you work your way through transition. This one, you get thrown onto transition. You just have to bowl on whatever the bowlers in front of you left for you. So if the bowlers before your squad all threw urethane, you have to deal with their urethane carry down. If they all threw reactive, you have to deal with their reactive carry down and what it did to the lanes. You might get people that just throw plastic up the middle. You might get people throwing 180 grit. It is really just, entire tournament is just a big gamble at the end of the day. It really depends on what squad you get, who bowled in front of you, and if they actually give you the opportunity to be able to score high enough to make it to that next round. Now in this, it's very interesting where you have a burn squad and then also a double burn squad. For anyone who doesn't know, A burn squad means you're not bowling on the fresh. That's what I was just mentioning, but there is also a double burn squad. So you have your VIP squad bowl, then you have your first qualifying block bowl, and then after you bowl sometimes, and then you have a ton of transition on the lanes. That was actually the first squad that I bowled was a double burn, and I could not keep my ball on the right side of the head pin. I brought stronger equipment thinking that I was bowling on the fresh because unfortunately it's not advertised anywhere that you never bowl on the fresh. This is one of the biggest negatives with this true amateur tournament is that they don't advertise anything. There is very little communication that happens. You don't know the side action that's going on, the brackets or anything like that. You don't know what you're bowling on. You don't know if you're bowling on the fresh, the transition, the burn, whatever it may be. There's very little information. There was a separate Masters tournament happening while I was out there. I knew nothing about it. Had no idea until I got there. Somebody asked if I was bowling it. I didn't even know what it was. Apparently it was it was just the same tournament, just smaller and in a different building. I don't know. It was odd. But that was the biggest negative where you didn't know what you were bowling on, didn't know how many games were before you, anything like that before you got there. I messed up. I brought way too many strong bowling balls. That ended up costing me in the end. Now, looking at the price of this tournament, I ended up bowling 2 squads, 2 qualifying squads and 2 VIP squads. I ended up paying $420 for all of this. Now, I could have paid another $100 to get a free Rotogrip bowling ball, for $100. I believe it was a Rockstar this year is the way that it looks. So that's a very good price for a brand new bowling ball, especially a good bowling ball at the end of the day. So that was pretty cool. I didn't end up going for that, so I really paid $210 per qualifying squad with these extra VIP squads, which I guess most scratch bowlers just see as practice for the main event. So this is a very expensive tournament, insanely expensive tournament, but you do have that chance of $25,000, which is some of the most prize money an amateur can win in the US in one single tournament. Then moving on, I bowled my first squad, shot about 550, did not have much of a chance, just could not keep my vaporize on the right side of the head pin. I was playing 25 at the end of the day for that one. But then I bowled a second qualifying squad. This was on the single burn. Now this is again 37 feet, 29 mils. I wanted to throw a urethane. That was my goal. It didn't ever really look good here though because scores are so high. Usually the cut number for the scratch division is about a 675 series, so averaging 225. I did not see a 225 ball reaction with my urethane at any point throughout the entire week. It was a very tough way to be able to get there. So what I did is I tried Effect Tour from straighter. That just didn't give me a look. I shot 190. I ended up moving way left with an origin because once I shot that 190, I had to go 240, 240 to be able to make the next round. It's the other tough thing with this tournament. Most other tournaments you bowl, you have 5, 6, 7 games in qualifying. If you have that lowish game, you can still come back just fine. You can bounce back. 3 games, you can't bounce back. You need to stay high and then keep getting better. Now, unfortunately, I started with 190. I tried switching over to the origin and I had a look, but physically I was not throwing it great. Shot another 190. And then third game ended up going another 190 because I was knocked out by about the 4th frame. So a little bit unfortunate, didn't end up doing very well out there, but it was very, very interesting. The cool thing with this tournament is there's a ton of international talent there. There's a lot of bowlers from Mexico that actually come up to bowl, and there's a lot of European bowlers that come over to bowl this event, which is a really, really cool thing because usually, like in my area from Minnesota, if you bowl a Minnesota tournament, you get Minnesota bowlers and that's that. You might get 1 or 2 Wisconsin bowlers, but that's all. This tournament, you had people from around the world coming here, which was a very, very cool thing to see and very cool to bowl with. So with all of that, do I recommend you bowling the true amateur tournament? In my opinion, I don't think I will be bowling this tournament again anytime soon. It is just too much of a risk and there's too much luck involved to determine if you make it to that next round. Now, there were a lot of people that actually ended up bowling who bowled a ton of squads, spent $1,000+ to continue bowling, trying to make that next round. Those tournaments are not really appealing to me, so I probably will not be bowling this tournament again. However, if that appeals to you, where it's a very short format and you get a good pull, you get a good 250 game in there, or you're a handicap bowler who can bowl really well on sport shots, this might be a good tournament for you. This is one that you could make a little bit of money. But otherwise, it is very, very tough. This is the lowest cut number I've ever seen. 1 in 8 is absolutely crazy. Even looking at it on my second squad, I had a little better breakdown of the lanes, but it just wasn't enough to be able to shoot off that big score. So would I recommend it? If you want to bowl the short format events, make a little vacation out of Vegas, then I think it's a great idea. But otherwise, it's a very tough tournament to participate in. That is then up to you. But that is my little recap of the True Amateur Tournament, what the tournament consists of, what you should expect when going out there, which is never bowling on the fresh. You will never bowl on the fresh. But also what this tournament is good for, what it's not good for. Really hope you guys enjoyed. We'll have the streams up sometime very soon. They're going to be pretty long. We streamed on TikTok about 4 times throughout that event. So I hope you guys enjoy those. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one.